And good morning. Welcome to Breakthrough Walls. I'm Ken Walls. I'm your host, and I'm telling you, I have somebody very special on today. I know I'm going to butcher her name, so I apologize in advance to my guests. But it's Cindy DeRossett, right?
You got it.
Boom. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, sir. I really appreciate it. What an honor. I mean, I love the show. It's so much fun, and you're just a ball of laughs. And so, what an honor it was for to get your message that we need to just hop on and chat together. I'm really excited.
I love it, and you know, I know that right now, you know, with what you currently do, you are a massive leader in the company. And you've done some amazing things, and personally I've not heard your entire story, and I'm excited to hear it. You know, this show is about helping people have a breakthrough in life, and you know, we all get stuck, we all hit those walls. No, well, pun intended, I guess, but. You know, we hit those places where it's like, oh my God, I can't get past this. How am I ever going to get through this? And I would imagine you've been there. Right?
You bet.
I'm sure, right? So you know, I want to talk about, like, let's start with telling everybody, you know, who you are and where you're from, and fix your name if I did it wrong.
No, actually, you did it perfect, Cindy DeRossett. You know, it does get butchered, and I said, you know what, we're in America now. It did come from France. We don't have to get fancy. Just DeRossett. Don't hurt yourself. But thank you so much. My name is Cindy DeRossett, and I'm actually tuning in from Queen Creek, Arizona, which is a suburb of Phoenix. And I mean. It's the surface of the sun. It's the devil's grandma's kitchen right now. Every summer for the last 19 years, I'm like, why do I live here? But it's the other part of the year that is so fantastic. So yeah.
Yeah. So you're you're outside of Phoenix?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes.
It's warm out there. We just moved back from Vegas last August, and holy moly, it's hot in the desert.
Sure is.
It's hot.
Yes.
So is that where you were born and raised?
No, actually, born and raised in Southern California. Okay. Lived there about 23 years. Moved to Texas, and then back to California, and then here. So I've lived in 3 states. That's
okay.
it.
So did you grow up in Southern Cal?
You know, well, I lived there till I was about 13. So born in Huntington Beach and lived in Orange County area, Garbage Grove. My whole family is all from, you know, LA County and that kind of thing. And when I was 13, we moved to Texas, and I finished out school and graduated in Texas, Dallas-Fort Worth area. Yeah, Dallas-Fort Worth area.
Okay,
mm-hmm.
Okay.
And love it. In fact, my 30-year high school reunion is coming up, and we're organizing that. Holy cow. Yeah. Graduated 88, and, you know, getting ready to go and whoop it up at our homecoming game. So really excited about that. And then after graduation, moved to San Diego, lived in San Diego 11 years. They're not kidding when they call that America's finest city. It's an unbelievable place to be.
Really?
Unbelievable.
Somebody asked me literally last night if I've ever been to San Diego, and I'm like, no.
You guys got to get there. It's unbelievable.
I've heard it's amazing.
In fact, what's funny is I earned a trip to Hawaii, and we landed in Oahu. And took the taxi or shuttle or whatever it was to this big, huge hotel that's actually on the current Hawaii 5-0. You always see it from the aerial view. That's the hotel we went to. And I'm driving, and I'm like, this looks like San Diego. I mean, it really, honestly, San Diego is unbelievable. Yeah. So I didn't feel like I was in any different place, you know, when I was in Hawaii, you know. So definitely make it a destination for you guys, and I'll tell you all the secret places to go when you go.
I've heard it's amazing. I have some friends that are from. I have one friend that she's from there, and she says it's amazing. So you finished high school in Texas. Mm-hmm. Did you go to college?
For a little while. I'm a horrible student, and I'm a horrible employee. I was, in fact, you know what's interesting? I was thinking about this yesterday. is, you don't have to have a degree to be an entrepreneur. And I tried it out. This college it was not for me. And, and actually working for other people isn't either. So God bless direct sales, because that's a perfect business model for me. But I went to college for, I took classes and everything like that. I just didn't finish it. It just was not my place. It wasn't a place for me. In fact, what's interesting, and I'll tell you, you guys have children, Ken?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if you noticed this, and I have a son myself. He'll be 25 in October. And, but I noticed this with him, but going back to my own, I was actually in, a school for geniuses, like elementary school, when I was a kid. Wow. And, there's an amazing, documentary called Finding Superman, I think it is. Uh-huh. And it's almost like this unnatural selection of where the children go and the whole education system, because when I was in the system, it all went to, I wasn't being fed, I wasn't in the right school.
Yeah.
And, I was bored out of my mind, in school.
Yeah.
And, no, I went to college. I went to, I enjoyed really the social aspect of it, because that's, kind of who I am. And then went on to, I was talking to a friend, the other day, I don't even know if I could even create a resume, because I've worked for myself for the past 17 years.
Wow.
And, and so I haven't worked for somebody. I mean, I guess we always work for people, but I haven't worked for somebody like a traditional 9 to 5 in 17 years.
Wow. That's awesome. Yeah. I was, I just sent you a little message, but I was, talking to somebody the other night that was talking about a resume, and I'm like, I've employed a lot of people, and I'm like, I glance at resumes. I don't even cause it's like that's not going to tell me who you are. You're making a bunch of, it's like, and you may not be making stuff up, but who really cares about what's on your resume? It's like, who are you in person? That's what I want to know. I want to look you in the eyes and know who you are, right?
Yes.
So,
yes.
So so we're a lot alike in that regard. So so you ended up in you ended up back in San Diego, in your early 20s?
Yeah, I lived there. Out of high school till I was about 29, and then moved to Phoenix.
Okay.
And family here, everybody moved from Southern California, and then I was the last one. So, we moved here, and I've been here for 19 years.
Been in Arizona for 19 years.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know.
Wow. That is so hot there.
It's so hot. It's crazy, but the rest of the year is unbelievable.
Wow. So, yes, that is the truth. It doesn't rain, right?
Oh, you know what? People say that it's a dry heat here. Sorry, but we get all of our rain in the summer. We get the monsoons. Yeah. We get the cloud cover, which is kind of like a reprieve from God. He's like, you know what? I'm sorry, you schmucks have to live there, but I'm going to give you some clouds for a couple hours, and some rain to cool things off, but you don't get used to it.
Right.
But we do get most of our rain in the summer for sure.
I never made it over to Phoenix, but we drove down into Arizona when we were living in Vegas, and I remember we were going through I forget what town. Is it Laughlin? Is that right on the border? That's
up. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So we were coming, and it was 126 degrees is what the gauge said on the car. I'm like,
gross.
It's 126 degrees out there right now. Like, if the AC went out, we are in trouble. Like, this is not, So it's like it's so crazy how hot it gets there. So talk to me about, okay, so you're in your early 20s, you're in San Diego. What were you doing and college didn't work for you. I get that. High school didn't work for me, so I left in 12th grade. So I never went to college. But So you're in your 20s. What were you doing for work? What was your career choice?
I am a retail girl. Basically, I came from a retail family. You know, my father was in retail for my entire life. Retail management, store direction. That's why we moved so much, because they would have him go and open up, locations or save, failing locations. And, so I was a retail brat. You know, we would move quite a bit. And so I kind of just followed in that. And, before I stopped working, I did a lot of different things, but it's always been in customer service. It's always been a leadership role. It's always been working with people. It's always been solutions driven, for whether it's a customer or, an employee or something like that. I worked for Costco, actually, when it used to be Price Club. And, that's really where a long-term thing, that I worked for several years and worked for a couple of golf companies, because I lived in San Diego. That's where the golf manufacturing capital of the world is in Carlsbad. Wow. So I worked in that community. That was a lot of fun. And you'd think I would have learned from my friends, all my scratch golfer friends, how to play golf, and I never did. But that's silly. And that really was it. But then when I moved here, I managed health clubs. When I moved here, I was managing health clubs and really enjoyed that, again, working with people. Yeah. And then I left, I took a job, and then the owner of that, gym, it went belly up, and I almost just literally had no options. Like, I didn't know what the heck where I was going to go. And, so I took an off. This is so funny. Speaking about resumes, it's not that I fibbed, but I needed a job. I was a single mom, and, I needed a job. And so I went to a landscape broker company that really set up, jobs, throughout the valley here. And, I basically fibbed my entire interview. Can you do QuickBooks? Absolutely. Absolutely. I can do QuickBooks. It was an office manager position. Never in my life ever done it.
Wow.
And I was great. I got the job and I did fine. I'm a winger. I can make stuff happen. Just show me the program and I'll get it done. So that's where I was. But then, after about, and in fact, what's interesting is that, sadly, I was interviewing for Southwest Airlines. I thought, you know what, you would be a great flight attendant, Cindy. And you're 20 something years old. You'd be a great flight attendant, right? You're fun, whatever. And I went through the cattle call where you move from room to room for Southwest Airlines. Mm-hmm. If you're chosen, then you get chosen again, and you get moved from, room to room if you got chosen. And my final interview, sadly, was on September 11th, 2001. That was the day of my final interview.
Oh my
gosh. And didn't have it, and needless to say. Wow. But then found this job as the office manager at this landscape broker company that, did big jobs. It wasn't like somebody's front yard landscape. We're talking highways and the ball fields, all of the ball fields and things like that. So, that was it. And I was there for about a year, maybe two. And then I went on to own my own business after that.
Wow. Okay. The Southwest Airlines thing just kind of gave me chills. That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
It was unbelievable. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I'm just curious, did they call you and say, hey?
They did. They did, yeah.
Really?
I mean, later.
In the midst of all that, they still were able
Not on that day. Not on the day. Yeah. A couple of days later, I got a phone call, and they just said, you know what, we're just going to offer you the position. And I would have had to. I was going to be based in Boston, and I wasn't going to leave my son. My son was little. He was only like 7 years old at the time. Yeah. So everything works the way it should. I moved in that direction, and yeah.
So at some point though along the way, you made the decision that you wanted to be an entrepreneur, and I made that decision very, very, very early in life, and man, it was tough. I mean, it was tough, and so I'm curious at what point you decided that you no longer wanted to work for someone else, that you And did you get fired? I got fired. So
Oh, I was actually, I looked back on a lot of time, on the few times that I did get fired, and it was either people thinking I was going to take their job,
yeah.
and it was a sabotage, or it was females. So I had reverse bullying. Like I was bullied because I was too outgoing.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was usually a supervisor that was a female above me that was jealous or, whatever it was. So, when I decided to leave the landscaping broker company as their office manager, it was because I fell for one of our owner operators who owned the trucking company.
Oh, wow.
And so again, we were a broker. We didn't own any of the equipment or any of the materials. We just were the broker that set up the jobs.
Yeah.
And so I fell for one of our truckers. So I became a mother trucker. So for the next whatever years, we ran that business together, and it was great. We did anything that was new or any development that was new in the Phoenix Valley. Starting in, and that was about 2002, all the way to 2015 was the end of that. But we experienced quite a bit. I mean, anything that was new, as you know, we are the other side of the hub for spring training. So we've got all 13 we have 13 teams come out here for spring training. We did all of their facilities, any mall, any development, any highway, so we had really big jobs. We weren't just doing people's landscaping. We were hauling in. I had 50 trucks on the road a day.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. So it was great. It was a great thing to do. And I really enjoyed working, at home, or in our truck yard office. And, so it was a great experience.
And you
But I've always been in direct sales, though. One thing I'll tell you, I've always, I probably was one of the, people that started, like anybody else, signed up with Amway back in, when I'm 21 years old.
Yeah.
So it started way back then. And I've always loved the model of direct sales, but most of them were hobbies. And it was 5 years ago that I found my current one. And that's, I guess it was time for me to hit the home run. So I've been doing that here for 5 years. I no longer have the trucking company or the marriage. Unfortunately, that dissolved as well. Yeah. But directions went, in different ways. And that was the plan, the divine plan of where I was supposed to go. And so much has flourished, since then, that it's been a huge blessing. But now I'm full time doing what I do in direct sales. The team is ginormous. I don't want to do anything else. I have I think my organization, we're looking at about 150,000 people, Ken. It's a lot.
Insane.
Crazy.
That's
Crazy.
Insane.
Yeah, nuts.
And we'll just tell everybody, because I use Thrive as well, and I just found out I'm in your downline. I didn't even freaking know it. Like, that's insane.
You just thought I was being nice to you all this time when I would comment on your posts and all of that. I am nice, but I was giving you props because, hey, woohoo, team, go team.
That's awesome. I had no idea, but that and so it's an incredible company, incredible product. But I want to talk a little. So you've done, because I've done. I mean, when I was 17 years old, I worked for an Amway distributor as a salesperson selling their water purification system. That was a long time ago. And so, so I've been involved for a long time, and I don't even know how many companies. It's a ridiculous amount. And,
right.
And so, and it's hard, as you know, as in that industry. And I Eric Worre is amazing, and
right.
I know I had lunch with Jordan. Why can't I think of Jordan's last name from Send Out Cards? But everybody knows who he is, the little bald guy. But anyway, I had lunch with him in Vegas, and I know a lot of really big people in the industry, but it's very difficult because you have a lot of cases, very inexperienced and I don't mean necessarily inexperienced with owning a business, inexperienced when it comes to communicating effectively with other human beings, right?
Correct.
A lot
Absolutely.
of very inexperienced people that get into that industry and they screw it up, but they don't want to take responsibility for it. And then they say, this isn't for me. However, I think that somebody like you that's very effective at communicating and team building and helping other people, and I'm making assumptions, but I assume you enjoy helping other people grow.
I do. I'm a builder. In fact, what's funny is that I was talking to our CEO the other day, and I was like, listen, I admittingly, I'm not a recruiter. I really am not.
Right.
I mean, I'm fun to be around. I'll talk to anybody within 3 feet of me. If you want to call that indirect recruiting, because I'm building rapport with somebody, but it's not an intentional, manipulative type of recruitment type of deal. But no, I'm a builder. I'm the tough love lady. I'm not going to let you stay in your way. I'm going to make you heal your crap that you're using as an excuse and dragging along your story. And so no, I'm a builder. I'm not. That is my my purpose, actually.
Yeah.
It is my purpose, even in and outside of what I do here at Lavelle.
That's incredible. So 5 years ago, is that when the marriage and everything kind of came to a halt, or?
The marriage came to a halt about 2.5 years ago.
Oh, okay. But
yeah.
But 5 years ago, you made the decision. In five-ish, I don't know if it's exactly five, but you made the decision to get in with this new company, and you started from the bottom. I'm sure they didn't probably bring you in.
No,
right at the,
we don't do that here. Yeah, right, nobody gets bought in. Mm-mm.
Right.
No deals.
Right.
No deals.
So you started at the bottom. What happened from there for you?
Well, for me, I was not interested at all in the product. I'll be honest with you. I've seen it all, honestly. Yeah. I've seen it all. Why would this stuff be any different than the half-empty bottles in my magic cupboard of miracles that I wasted my money on? Had no effect at all. And I actually was thinking more when I was reading some of the stories, because really people's experiences, people can relate to stories. So that's quite frankly what I was seeing, and I thought, you know what? I mean, things don't work for me, but obviously it's working for other people. I probably have quite a few family members, friends, my network circle who would like this stuff. But right. I mean, don't expect much, of a story coming from me. I was actually more interested in the business model because it was simple and it was something that I could tell a networker or my next door neighbor soccer mom, how to do. Yeah. And I wanted simplicity. The product was simple. It wasn't some crazy program that you had to set alarms and feel like you were held hostage by. But the business model was simple. And really what caught me was that it was the first and only at the time. I think that there's some that have evolved since then and done a little copying, but it was the first and only cloud-based company operating in that infrastructure, cloud-based infrastructure, operating in health and wellness and human nutrition and direct sales.
Right.
And so I saw that as simple math. Yeah. Honestly, yeah. I just saw it as simple math. Less overhead, 90% reduction of overhead was going to create a pocketbook to source better ingredients to make a better product and to be really super aggressive with rewards.
Right.
I'm all about it. It's simple math. And plus, I'm an only child. I like to be first. I was going to be the first person to take this to my friends and family and not have them shoot me down like something that's been saturated for the past 20 years. I don't care about a company that's been around for 20 years. That doesn't put food on my table.
Right. Right.
Right. And so I wanted something smart. And so, it wasn't long. I got on that phone and they were like, this is what we do. This is what we have. And I was excited about it being new and just took off with it. Now, I will tell you this. Very stubborn. I've been in the industry for a long time, so I was set in my ways and bringing in a networker to something that is very, very simple, like the simplistic thing, it's difficult to get them to stop what they know, and that's where I was. It was very hard for me to stop what I know. I mean, the CEO said to me, Cindy, stop talking. You're not you are a wealth of knowledge. You need to stop talking. You're not going to create an empire because that's not duplicatable. So I got the idea of, it sunk in that duplication with something, duplicating, not me, you can't duplicate people, but duplicating some kind of a system that anybody could just take the ball and run. That was smart to me, but it was a minute for me to get it. So, I moved quickly in the beginning, but then I stayed stuck for a little while because I was kind of in my own way, with my own old patterning and that kind of thing. And, but then when I got it, I was just like, just let the system work. Quit trying to, reinvent the wheel. And then it just took off, and it's been unbelievable. We've done, so in 5 years, we just passed 5 years, from my anniversary, and we're, over $20 million, in online orders. Fantastic. Love it. Wow. It's been such a huge blessing, for me. And I will tell you this, was not expecting the direction to go as it did when my marriage ended, but that was the plan. We just went in different directions. But I will tell you this, and this is part of, when I'm speaking to people, I was not financially, attentive, I guess you would say, because I know I'm smart, Right. It just was not my wheelhouse to be paying attention to the finances. I'm a weird numbers geek person. I love numbers.
Yeah.
But when it came to, like home finances, paying bills, doing budgets and all of that, that just was not my job in the marriage. Right. It just wasn't. And so I felt like I was orphaned a little bit. But I will tell you this, is that, about 6 months before the dissolution, I had the blessing of hitting the top rank of this company.
Wow.
And it was almost like, God saying to me, look, you're going to have some big stuff coming, and I'm going to make sure that the last thing you need to worry about are your bills, because I know that's not your thing. And so I, on my knees every day, give gratitude for that, because it was a tough transition. And because of that, and because I was able to have that blessing of hitting our top rank of our company, did mean that I didn't have to worry about my bills anymore. And it was on autopilot. And that was huge. It was huge.
You're like Forrest Gump.
What just happened?
I bought this stock in this fruit company. like that's insane. You're like, so I don't have to worry about money anymore. Now what? What's next? That's crazy. Holy crap. So it's awesome. It's awesome.
Yes.
But wow. So you have 150,000 people in your downline.
Yeah, ish. Yeah.
Wow. That's insane.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. I can't take credit for that. I probably brought in, a tiny bit, it's not like I hand selected all of these people. I just clicked the button before these people did. Right. And it's just been a beautiful blessing that, and for me, that they just so happen to be in my organization. And I love them. They're amazing people.
So, and I'm not calling out your age. You actually did, if anybody can do the math. So, but like you've like me, you've had a pretty good journey so far, right?
Yeah.
And I know that, especially a long time ago, I got into this this network marketing company called Web TV. They had the very first internet accessible TV box. Like, you plugged it into your TV and you could surf the internet. And it was before that, it was way before like PS3 and 4 and all this, But so this thing, like, I had people all over the country that were selling this. And like, I would get on these calls, and I was one of the leaders in the company, and I would get on these calls and I would listen, and I drank back then a lot. So I would listen to people whine and complain about how, and I was like, I can't even believe I'm listening to this crap, But then the company went defunct or whatever. But But you run into, I'm sure you run into people every day that you hear them or you see them and you're like, oh my God, like if you could just get past this, you would explode in life and you'd have 150,000 people in your downline. What is that? What is that the number one thing in your opinion that keeps people stuck?
Well, that's a mindset, so mindset for me is key. And then, to define that even further or go further with it, it's ego. And I don't mean arrogance.
Right.
I don't mean manipulating people or being cocky or anything like that. I mean, ego is, self-limitations. It's, dragging around your old story as if it's a security blanket. It's not getting out of your own way. It's a comfort zone that's not comfortable. It's not breaking free. I mean, look at, we're breaking down walls here, Yeah. I truly believe that mindset is because you can get unstuck right this second.
Yeah.
In this moment, you can get yourself unstuck. It is a mindset, and really it's chosen. How long do you want to keep dragging around your story? And unfortunately, there's a lot of people that don't think they're very interesting without their sad story. But it's not serving them in any way, right? It's serving them in the way that they're in that non-growth state.
Yes.
There's no responsibility taken because they get to blame, everybody else for their problems, which, listen, we can't help circumstances, and I'm glad we took 42 minutes to talk about silly stuff about me, but now here we are with meat and potatoes. I love that. I love that we're getting there. I believe that we are 100% responsible for our own life. You can't control events or circumstances, and I love that. I think Jack Canfield uses this equation that has become a life tagline for me is E plus R equals O. Yep. Event plus response equals outcome. You cannot help what happens to you, outside circumstances, events that happen, but your response is going to always determine your outcome. Amen. And I really feel like, again, that's what we can control. And when people are stuck in their own way, it's because they don't believe. They talk a lot. They have all the positive memes, but they're still stuck in their places. They post stuff all the time, but really in a quiet moment, they don't have a whole lot of self-confidence. They don't believe who they were made by and who they were. And here's a great story. I love this. This is I'm not going to get on the pulpit, but I'm going to use this story. You've heard of the story about the man lay at the Bethesda pools, and there was a lame man laying on a mat trying to get into these healing pools, right? These healing pools. This is scripture in the Bible. These healing pools, and he'd been lame for 30 years.
Yeah.
Lame and not able to walk for 30 years. Body broken, all of that, and then could get into these healing pools and would lay on this mat, feet just inches away from his salvation of overcoming this, right? And Jesus walked up and said, I'm going to urbanize Jesus a little bit. What are you doing? Right? What are you doing? He goes, well, every time I try to get in, someone goes in front of me. And Jesus goes, get up.
Right.
What are you waiting for? You waiting for somebody to do it for you? No, you have been given, you've been equipped, you're able, you're blessed, you've got brains, you've been given all of the tools that you need, but you're using excuses to not get up and get in the freaking pool.
Right.
So I truly believe that, we spend a whole lot of time not being in allowance, because I believe in two things that I say to this. I have those sticky notes on my wall. Two things that I say all the time: I choose and I create. I am a co-creator in my life.
Amen.
So many people sit in victim mode and they don't move forward because they're waiting for somebody to do it for them.
Yep.
They don't believe in themselves enough to get into the pool, get off the mat, go. They forget why they are here. what their purpose is. Their purpose is not to suffer. This is not, and so I see so many people that just get in their own way and get away from, and prolong. They prolong what was given to them. You were not created to suffer. Your suffering is a state of mind, and that has to be overcome yourself. I mean, we can sit and pray all day long, but guess what? God goes, I gave you a free will, bro. I can create the environment all day long for you,
right.
But I gave you a free will.
Yep.
You got to get up. And you have to also realize that I say this a lot, I am an extension of God energy.
Yep.
I was made in his image. That doesn't mean that I'm a suffering person. It doesn't mean that I am unable. It doesn't mean that I am inadequate. It means that I am a child of the Most High God, and I'm equipped and able to make things happen. The only thing that's in my way is when I step out of that acknowledgement, belief, light, whatever it is, and I get into my ego. That's all my separation is ego. So we can get unstuck in moments.
I gotta hop in and interrupt you because I want to back up a little bit a couple of things you said. Number one, the stories that you're telling yourself. You nailed it. Like I know people that may have lost a parent or a sibling or their best friend or what. And I've said this on my live streams. I've said it to many, many people. Like, you have to accept that the moment you're born into this world, you are destined for death. You're going to die.
Absolutely.
You're going to die. Nobody gets out of here alive. And yes, right. It's sad. I know that. I get it. It's sad when we lose somebody. I understand. Yes. But you're going to die also. Like, when are you going to live? Like that,
right.
Like, let go of it. Like, it's over. They're dead. Like, and I'm not trying to offend anyone, but like, you have to let go of that. Yes, mourn. I get that. You got to mourn it. But I've always said mourning is a selfish act. It has nothing to do with the person that died. Nothing. They're gone. They don't feel it. You don't feel bad for them because they don't feel it. They're gone. It's us. We miss that. But you also mentioned this. And see,
yes, my favorite.
Even stained and tattered. This is my favorite book in the world. One of my it's in my top 3. And this book, written by Jack Canfield and Mark Victor Hansen.
One of my favorites ever.
Switzer. Like, you just mentioned the E plus R equals O. Event plus your response. So no matter what the event is, the outcome is determined by how you respond to it.
Absolutely. 100%.
It is. And I love that you brought those things up because, that's the biggest thing. You nailed it. Like, you freaking nailed it. It's the stories that people are living in up here. You nailed it.
Yeah, they drag it around.
You're dragging it around. You got to let it go, man. Don't mention it to another freaking person on this planet. Let it go.
Well, it served you up until that moment, right? Because, and let me go a little bit further. So I didn't share this. Do we have a minute?
Yeah,
do we have a minute?
We got this is my show. We'll go all freaking day if we want. I don't care.
Okay, boss. We got a lot. We got a lot we can talk about. What I didn't tell you, and speaking of story, that you do have to, you can have your story.
Yeah.
But you got to. It was given to you for a reason. It wasn't given to you to drag around. But here's let me just tell you, because I believe I was given my story so that I can go and help others, right? In the economy, when the economy crashed to 07, 08, our business went and took an 84% dump because it was construction, right? And the two biggest things that stop when you see the house shift from one color to the next, is people stop spending money or making contracts. And so we lost about 84% of our business. Well, we hung in there as long as we could. And then it really took effect, physically, mentally, emotionally, whatever you want to call it, to my husband. We ended up on the business end of it, ended up having to file bankruptcy in and that was 2015.
Wow.
So we waited. We tried to hold out as long as we could, but the stress and the pressure of being bothered all the time, because we had to turn in. Yeah, we had to turn in our equipment. We went from 20. We had 50 trucks on the road. We went to 20, then we went to 2. And so a lot of these things had to be turned in. It was very stressful.
Yeah.
My ex-husband, my husband at the time, took that as a personal failure, even though basically we were casualties of, the chaos.
Right.
And, but he took it as a personal failure. And I don't mean to be disrespectful, but he literally lost his mind. So, the bankruptcy, he came home because he was back in Michigan, working with family. He came home to have our first meeting with the bankruptcy court. Went back to Michigan, and then I got a phone call after 13 years of marriage saying, I can't do this anymore. I don't want to be married.
Wow.
And so basically he ran, it was what I call emotional suicide. Yeah. Like he cut off anybody and everybody. He went and hid in basically in the woods in a cabin and lost his mind. Wow. For an entire year, so it was completely devastating. Had no idea it was going to happen. It's very difficult. You mentioned death. It's very difficult to grieve somebody still living.
Right.
I'm not going to discount somebody who loses somebody through death, but probably the only tragedy worse than what I was going through was if something were to have happened to my son. Other than that, this was the worst thing of my entire life that's ever happened. And for an entire year, nobody knew. I operated on Facebook as you see me still today.
Yeah.
There wasn't a skip and a beat. I still had phone calls. I still had team building. I still had promotions I was running. I still was doing things. And I was still doing that in between when I was on the bathroom floor with snot coming out of my face most of my day. And then the phone would ring. And I would get on the phone, and I knew that there were 2 people on that line that were going to be possibly getting a future blessing. The new person that was being introduced to this company and the promoter that I was helping.
Right.
And it was therapy for me. It was a distraction, but it was therapy for me. It's been the hardest, 2.5 years of my life, but it's also been, I would not be able to have evolved and elevated and taught law of attraction and taught about getting over your crap and healing things that don't serve you any longer. This served me. Yeah. This tragedy served me so that I can be a lighthouse to other people.
Right.
In their pain, right?
Right.
And the work that I do with people, helping them get out of their own way, I would have never been able to do if I was still in my marriage.
Yep.
So as tragic as it was a huge blessing because it not only elevated me, but then it was basically a ripple effect where I was able to help others, and wouldn't have happened before.
And
while it sucks,
it's that's the thing is I can remember 16 years ago when I first got sober. I was in this relationship and had this house and 2 Mercedes and had, all this business and everything was hitting the fan. I mean, everything. Like she kicked me out because apparently I hit on her girlfriend. I don't remember it. I was really wasted at the time.
Right.
And I'm not using that as an excuse. It is what it is.
It's the story, right?
But but I remember thinking I gotta keep this relationship. And I was insane about it. I gotta keep the business, and everything I had done to become successful in business was no longer working. But I still hung on to it with I was like a pit bull. I wouldn't let go. And finally, it was like God said no. I said no. No.
Yeah.
And I was like, but yes. And I know what's better for me than you do.
Right.
But then, here's the thing. I would not have my 2 amazing daughters and my amazing wife if that would have worked out.
Right.
They wouldn't exist. And
exactly.
And now it's okay, I get it. I totally get, and it was a toxic relationship anyway. So
It was, yeah, same here.
In that
when we are
moment,
resistant,
it's okay. Like it's not okay, but like in that moment that it's all happening, it's like it's very intense. I get the feeling you understand it, right? Everybody has a story, but what you said that I love more than anything I've heard so far today is people are hanging on, they're dragging their stories, and they're actually pushing their stories in front of them, right?
Yes.
They're not even dragging them, they're in front of them. They're like, yeah, but you don't understand, I lost blah, 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 and it's like, and then they go into, so how you doing? Like, well, I was doing great until I talked to you. Like, right? And then they can't figure out why they're not succeeding and happy in life.
Absolutely. In fact, I believe that, it's there. I don't believe in luck, at all.
Right.
I believe in creating. I believe in alignment. I believe in allowing.
Yeah.
I believe that, people not moving forward is a resistance to the flow. I'm all about the flow and the whole law of attraction. I'm all about that. And I believe that when, in fact, you get signs all the time of the direction if you just pay attention.
Yeah.
You get signs all the time. I mean, this happened to me because it was kind of like, you know what, I'm sorry. This is really going to suck.
Yeah.
But you haven't been getting it. So we're going to have to deliver it because you're a little slow.
Right.
We're going to have to deliver it so big that and in fact, I almost went back to, and then they delivered another thing like, you know what, you're still not getting it.
Yeah.
And so, because I understand that it was for me.
Right.
It wasn't happening to me. It was happening for me.
Amen.
And if I just sit around and drag my story, then I am basically thumbing my nose at the divine purpose.
Yep. I 1,000% agree.
Yeah. I really feel like if people got into an allowance and an acceptance place, like, it's not even, I even see people say that they earn something, or I really feel like it's not that you earned or allowed, you actually aligned. You removed the resistance that was keeping you from what the plan was already. Right. Because I believe that you're never given something like you want, a dream or a vision or, something that you want to do with your life. I really feel like you just are never given that unless you are also given the tools and the path, that you just have to step on to the path. You're like, I don't dream. I love baseball. I'm a baseball freak. I'm a weird baseball girl about baseball. I love baseball. I don't dream about being a baseball player because that's not the plan. Right. As much as I love it, I don't dream about it, but I dream about being an effective human being that helps people heal their crap, move out of their own way, and get into alignment to the path and quit resisting what was given to you, because it wouldn't be given to you if you weren't capable of achieving it. Quit living safe, pushing. I love that you said pushing out your story, because you're putting that. I mean, people use their story. People also consider it the enemy, the devil, Satan, whatever you want to call it. They use that as a crutch of not healing their crap and moving forward. It's easy to say that the enemy is in this day. It's easy to say, well, the enemy is at work. Why are you giving something outside of yourself and your relationship with your higher power any more power than they deserve?
Totally,
not saying
1,000% agree.
Yes. So when somebody says, like the enemy is at work, why are you giving that any power? Right. I hang out with my divine source. I hang out with God. Do you think he sweats any enemy? Absolutely not. Why should I? Right. If me and Jesus are homies, then me and him have a plan. I don't worry. I'm not going to use an enemy as a crutch not to move forward.
Oh my God. I'm just going to turn this whole show over to you. Like you got it. You're right. Like I've said that before, don't blame, you don't, you say the enemy. Okay, where is it? Tell me, point it out to me. Where is it?
Right.
It's not, it's about I love what you're saying. I love it. I say, like, you're giving your power away. Stop
You're giving
it.
your power away to something that is, incapable of having power.
Right.
You only give something power. You give things power.
I agree.
Everything you give power, negative, positive.
Yep.
And I believe that the only thing that keeps people, it's not any outside enemy.
Right.
It's any separation from your divine purpose or path or relationship with the divine or the standing in the light or whatever it is. Anything that is keeping you, the resistance is all it is ego. And the ego is more powerful than any outside enemy.
Yep.
That's your battle, is internal. It's you choosing to step away out of fear, out of bitterness, out of anger. It's all of the crap that you put in the way. It's like a hoarder. If you walk into a hoarder's house and their house is packed full of crap, who put it there?
Right.
Nobody else, no enemy put it there for you. It's you got crap in the way that is keeping you from seeing, anything other than what's right in front of you, and it's a big, huge, gigantic mess that you designed yourself.
Yep.
Nice decorating.
Decorating.
Yep.
Let me ask you this. So, I know that you, and I love those three-way calls, by the way. Like, anyway, because somebody always has a story. It's their story that's well, I don't know if I can do it. It's yeah. But anyway, so this is, and Greg Crane said, KW and Cindy, this talk is on fire. Wow, awesome, and thank you both. Hey, he's from Canada. He's a client and friend of mine. I love that guy.
Awesome.
But he, the ones that. And look, when I was a raging practicing alcoholic, I didn't give two hoots about paying bills. I just wanted to drink. And back in 08, 09, 2010, we were hit as well. We survived, but it was a battle. I mean, it was a battle. There were many, many times where it's like, oh my God, we got to negotiate with the electric company or the gas company or the mortgage company or the car loan people or what, and figure this out. And because, and it's, it's just been it was a battle, and there's still times where it's like, okay, we got to push through this, whatever it is, right? But when you hear somebody telling their story of, the electric's getting shut off tomorrow. My car was repossessed. I have, this or that, and I don't know what to do. Cindy, I don't know what to do. I'm lost. I've tried everything, and I just don't know what to do. What do you say to that person? And I know you've heard that. I know there's no way that you haven't. When you have 150,000 people in your downline, you've heard a few stories.
I have.
Right? So what is it that you say to that person that's stuck?
Well, I mean, if somebody were to say to me and bring me all of that stuff, I would say, you know what? Hey, we've all been through it. It's just you need to call me back when you want to decide to be done with it.
Yeah.
I mean that, just snapping out of a mind, of a mindset or a limiting, self-limiting mindset isn't going to immediately put food on the table, but it's a start.
Right.
And you've got the victims and you've got the hustlers. You've seen it.
Yep.
You've got the ones that, but every one of them, victims and hustlers, have the same product, have the same 24 hours in a day. It's just a decision.
Right.
It really is. A decision is a verb, in my opinion. It's leaning into a want. Like, I don't believe, it's when people have, I believe that a wish is not strategy.
Right.
Hope is not plans. You've got to make a decision. And, sitting in hope does not put food in my belly.
Yeah.
You got to decide. Nobody's going to do this, and when somebody said, and I am that tough love lady, they know I love them. They know I do.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to, I'm going to sympathize for a second. I'm sorry you're going through that. It sucks. I understand. It really does. But you need to call me back when you want to make a decision that this is not going to be part of your story anymore.
Yep.
And so I can show you. But listen, people call me and they'll say, Cindy, I need some motivation. How many times have you heard that, Ken? I need some motivation.
Right.
I say that's not my job. My job is not to motivate you. I can inspire. I can encourage.
Yeah.
I can set an example. I can shine light.
Yeah.
But I cannot make a grown person. I cannot motivate a grown person to want to change their life forever. That's all on you.
Amen.
I'm not a motivator. Not a motivator. I can inspire and encourage, but motivation, you need to make a decision on whether or not you want to sit and complain. I mean, you just spent the last 5 minutes telling me about your woes, and we could have been talking about solutions. I am the person, don't bring me a problem without already having a solution in mind. Because that's the direction we're going to go.
And it's like you just reminded me of a guy I used to know. He used to be a friend of mine. I ended up having to disconnect completely from this dude, but he was always like, well, I pray all the time and just ask God to make me a man of integrity. I'm like, bro,
that's a decision.
What?
Make you a man of integrity.
Like,
I'm sorry, but
you don't. Like,
it's either in you or it isn't. You get to decide that. You know what I mean? Right. And it's getting in alignment with it. That's funny. That's interesting that somebody said that. I asked for God to make me a man of integrity.
I know, right? Like, what the heck? So and again, we could go on all day. We are at the end here. But I could talk to you all day. I like, you're amazing. Your energy.
Oh, thank you.
You're just, and have it, I've seen you on live stream, but it's not the same as having a two-way conversation like this. And I
love it. I had no idea what we were going to talk about, so anytime you want to not talk about nothing, then you just give me a holler.
Well, I love it because, like, and look, I know being at the top of your company, you're one of the leaders. I don't know if you're like the highest, but you're way up there.
There's so many more that are just doing incredible.
I know, but you've got 150,000 people plus in your downline right now, and that's incredible. And I know you didn't do all that. I get that. But Jordan Adler, that's who I was thinking of earlier.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. But and he's got a ridiculous number in his downline. But you're doing amazing things, and I know that you're helping people. And so, anybody on here right now, how would they follow you if they wanted to follow you?
Well, Cindy DeRossett, CindyDerossett. Pretty much at Cindy DeRossett is going to be Instagram. On Facebook, I'd love to hear from people on Facebook. I love it. I love interacting with people. I like to hear people that are ready to make that step and change. They need somebody to come and clean off their glasses.
Yeah.
They have a blurry vision. They're too close to it. Somebody that has outside perspective. I'm not any smarter than the next person. I just might be that, where I'm on the outside perimeter instead of being so close to it. So on Facebook, it's Cindy Adams DeRossett. And then my email is cindyderossett@gmail.com.
Well, I just put your name up. I spelled DeRossett.
Yeah.
Got it. Put your name up. So if you want to follow Cindy, look her up. Cindy, do you follow me on Instagram?
I think we do follow each other on Instagram.
Yeah.
Because I think you saw something on Instagram and you laughed at me at one time.
I didn't laugh. I probably laughed with you.
With me,
there
right? Well, at me, I don't take offense to because I want you to laugh. It wasn't at. I probably said something funny. I don't know. I bet you I do. I'll go look when we hop off.
You are hilarious. So. I appreciate you taking the time. I know you're very busy and have a lot of people hitting you up. So thank you so much for coming on the show. I think I'm gonna wait for maybe a couple of months and have you come back on the show because
I'd love it.
I just love your energy. You're amazing.
Thank you.
You're putting out some great stuff. And so anybody that's not following Cindy that's watching this right now, shame on you.
Oh my gosh. Bless your heart. Well, it was such an honor for you to reach out, and I love your show. It's so amazing. You touch so many people. You have amazing people on, and you know it really does show your humility and brains. That you know it's always so good in your own right. You have done such amazing, incredible things. But then you have, you know, other people that add to this community that you've created. You know, you've created this community of just smarties and getting to bounce off. I mean, you know, I believe that, you know, your vibe attracts your tribe and, you know, when we can get together and bounce stuff off, I love it. So what an honor it was for you to reach out to me. I really appreciate it to have the Ken Walls reach out to me and ask if I wouldn't hop on. And it was so much fun.
Yeah.
It was just like, there hasn't been a time we haven't chatted before. That's what it felt like.
I know. It's like we've known each other forever.
Forever.
Like we were at a Journey concert or something.
Well, I'm just a small town girl, you know, living in a lonely world.
Tell that story real quick, because there's people on here saying we hit it out of the park and
oh
amazing
gosh,
interview.
thanks guys.
But tell that story real fast.
Okay. Well, oftentimes, guys, I get asked to come and close out a local event, a speaking event for people in my organization, and I flew out to New Hampshire. And usually, I am this high energy, happy, you know, making jokes, that kind of person. And they, you know, they got me up to close out the thing and said, you know, I had heard that day that a lot of people said, Cindy, you know, we've never heard you tell your story. You know, you talk about other things, but you never really actually told us your story. And so today I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to tell you guys my story. So I'm really just a small town girl living in a lonely world. And then everybody in the crowd joined in. She took the midnight train, you know, and so now,
oh, that's awesome.
Because I was stone cold faced, right? Stone cold starting this off, and they were all going, "Gosh, she is a small town girl living in a lonely world." Wait a minute, you know, that's a song. And yeah. So now, when I go back to visit, that's my walk-up song. It starts off that journey. Yeah, it's great. I just work around amazing people.
I love it. That's so awesome. If you guys don't know what all of that means, just Google it.
All the youngins?
All the youngins, that's right. So listen, Cindy, thank you so much. Don't hang up on Skype, but I'm gonna go ahead and say goodbye to everybody. Thank you all for watching and sharing this out. I've seen all kinds of people share this, so thank you so much. And thanks for the likes, the loves, we got some crying laugh faces. That's good. I always love those. So thank you all very much. I'm sure Cindy appreciates you as well. Have a great day.